Hey guys, welcome to Kludgy Tech Time. I'm David, and today we are all about the Autel Robotics Evo. This is actually going to be a series of videos that I'm going to be releasing in the next few days, where we're going to have an interview with Jacob from Autel Robotics. We're going to have some video of the Evo flying, and we're also going to have footage and videos taken directly from the Evo itself. So I think you're going to want to stick around for this video, and I think you're going to want to watch for the upcoming videos in this series as well. If you're watching this after the day it was released, look for links here and in the description for the other videos in this series. So before we get into the interview with Jacob, let's talk about the basics of the Autel Evo. So it is going to be a folding drone in a similar size, about 1.8 pounds, I think, just under 2 pounds, of a very similar size to the DJI Mavic Pro, and probably will be in competition with that. It's going to have a 4K 60 frame per second camera that records at 100 megabits per second. You can also, if you want to step down to 1080p, it'll also be able to record at 120 frames per second. It will have an approximate 30-minute flight time, and Jacob says that in the real world he's been getting 26 to 28. I'm sure some of that depends on how much of a safety margin you want to leave for yourself and that kind of stuff. That will depend, but I think that it's going to be pretty close to 30-minute flight time. You'll be able to get 4.3 miles of distance out of it, is what Autel is reporting, and that is because it is not going to be using Wi-Fi. It is going to be using just a standard radio frequency signal that is actually dynamically switching between 900 megahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. So that's a little bit different than some of the competition that's out there that's using 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz. The Evo will be using 900 megahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. Now, 900 megahertz is going to be a bigger wavelength, and so there will be a bit more penetration through things like trees and leaves and that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But Jacob also tells me that it will dynamically change channels and spectrum within the flight to make sure that it's getting you the best signal. So it's not something that you have to set at the beginning of the flight and then live with that for the entire flight. It will be dynamically switching. One of the big features that Autel will be having, and it's actually kind of a non-feature, but it's something that I think a certain segment of the market is going to be very popular, is that there is no geofencing. So that is going to be something that for some markets is going to be a big deal, because if you live near an airport or something like that and you can't fly, well, that's no fun, right? But so basically Autel is leaving it up to the pilot to make sure that they are taking responsibility to fly within the laws of their locality, making sure that they're being moral and ethical and all that kind of stuff, and not doing anything that they shouldn't be doing. So there are no geofencing. They don't want to tell you where you can and can't fly. They want you to be responsible for that. And that's actually important for not just consumers, but also for industrial applications, commercial applications, and emergency responding situations. So if you're a firefighting department and you need to go put out a fire next to an airport, well, if you go to put up your aircraft, well, you know, could be a bit of a problem there. So that's some of the reasons why they choose not to do geofencing. They want to leave it in your hands. Now, there's also going to be a remote control that's going to come with it. It's going to have a 3.3-inch OLED screen on it that has 330 nits in brightness. When we're flying, you could see the screen in the sunlight, but it's not going to be crazy super bright, but it's still something that you can see. There will be a new Explorer app that you will use with it, but you don't have to use the app to use most of the functions of the aircraft. Because there's the OLED screen on the remote controller itself, you don't actually have to have a phone or a tablet to be able to fly the aircraft. So that will be a very cool feature. And in fact, when Jacob was flying it when he was with me, he was not using that at all. You can change all the settings within the remote control itself. You don't have to have the phone to be able to do that, or the app to be able to do that, but there are a few features in terms of like the automated flights, like dynamic tracking, waypoints, and some of those features that you do need to have a phone or tablet running the Explorer app. Now, it does have sensing in terms of obstacle avoidance in front of, below, and behind the aircraft. And so those are just some of the specs of the brand new Evo I wanted to talk about really briefly. There are lots more details, so I'd love for you to stick around for the rest of this interview. So here we go, Jacob. Well, hey guys, welcome to Kludgy Tech Time. I'm David, and this is Jacob from Autel Robotics.
How's it going, guys?
We have the not even brand new, soon to be brand new Evo from Autel Robotics. So we're really excited. Thank you, Jacob, for meeting with me to check it out. So why don't you tell me just a little bit about Autel Robotics for those guys who may not know about it. Give me some detail. Let me know. What are you doing?
Autel Robotics. We are a United States-based drone company. We're based out of Seattle, Washington, just outside of Seattle, Washington. That's where our customer support service center is, where our headquarters are. We do all of our customer support out of there, which, by the way, is 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every single day.
Every single day.
Yep. Oh yeah, they're on the weekends too. Yeah, not a problem. Bug us. Please do. We're always here to help you guys out. We've been around for a little while now. Got Autel Intelligences backing us, which is nice. They've been making car diagnostic equipment for 13, 14 years now.
Okay.
So we got nice backing. Got our own facility, got our stuff, and it's a nice little setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for meeting up. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, what do you do at Autel?
I wear a few different hats. Technically, I am a customer support lead. So if you were to call Sunday through Wednesday, you'd probably be talking to someone on my team, potentially me. So I help out with that. I do a little bit of marketing, do some traveling for shows as well. Try and get the word out about the Evo and what great things Autel can bring to the market.
Okay, cool. Well, what about the Evo? So what can you tell us? What can't you tell us?
Right, I can tell you a lot of things, actually. I can tell you most things. So this is the Evo. It's nice, compact. I'll show you guys how it folds. It's really, really easy, super simple. It's very compact. I mean, that's it. That's the whole thing. It's super easy. It's going to be super easy to unfold. It's really, really nice design. It feels really sturdy. I'll let you go ahead and hold it. It's got some nice weight to it. It feels nice and sturdy. It's got three-way obstacle avoidance. So you got camera vision in the front. You got camera vision. Yep, right there. You got camera vision and sonar underneath. And you have infrared. Yep. So you got these two little right here are actually your computer vision, and then the two bigger ones right there are going to be your sonar. And then you got infrared cameras on the back. That way you got three-way obstacle avoidance. The computer vision too is actually smart enough, so there are intelligence modes. For example, there's dynamic tracking, where you can literally draw a box around an object on your app, and you can literally set the controller down, and the drone will literally follow you based solely off of what's in that box.
Okay.
Which is really, really cool. It uses that computer vision. Another cool thing about the dynamic tracking and the computer vision combined is that if you're on your bike or something like that, and there's a tree in the way, it will notice the tree, recognize, hey, that's a tree, and it will either go over or around so that it can stay with you.
Okay, so it won't just stop and pause?
Nope, it'll go with you, yeah. It'll stay with you. Another cool thing about the computer vision and sonar underneath is it has intelligence landing modes. So for example, if you were to land on a super slope, something like that, it would, as it's coming down, it would be like, hey, this isn't a place I really want to land. You might flip over, you might do some damage. It'll actually literally stop, warn you of what's going on, so you can move it to a better place to land, which is actually really, really cool as well.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Camera shoots at 4K, 60 frames per second. It's got a 12 megapixel camera on there. You're going to get some great videos. It's got the brand new H2 processor in there. The 1/2.3 inch sensor. Those everything combined, you're going to get a really, really good image quality.
Okay. And that is how you say. I hear some people saying micro 2/3 or something like that.
I personally like to say 1/2.3 inch because it makes the most sense to me.
Yeah. And really, that's like close to a half-inch sensor, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So okay, now I know. So I have to ask it. At CES, there was a prototype shown of the 1-inch sensor, but that's probably not what you're going to be releasing.
Not in the first one. No,
out, right?
We will be doing a 1-inch model at some point down the line. Basically, the long story short, just getting parts.
Okay.
That's the main thing is that particular sensor is a Sony sensor. It's the most popular sensor for cameras in the world.
Okay.
Of course, Sony gets first dibs.
Yeah.
So basically just waiting on those and getting everything finalized as far as the details and adjustments that we have to make on our end to make that guy work.
Right.
So the first model will have that 1/2.3 inch sensor,
okay.
But we will be coming out with a second model that has the 1-inch sensor as well.
Okay. And you said 4K at 60 frames per second.
That is correct.
And then will it do 2.7K at what frame rate for 2.7K?
It should, yeah. Yep. You should be able to
adjust
adjust
still be
down.
at 60, or will it be faster than that?
It'll still be at 60.
Okay.
You can also do slow down. So the cool thing is when you do slow-mo, because
Yeah.
it's at 60 frames, that slow-mo looks so crisp and so clean because it's at 30 frames, which is what most cameras are shooting
Right.
at anyways.
Yep.
So you get
Okay.
some really cool videos.
Cool. And then does it at 1080p? Does it
Yes.
pop up to like 120 or 90?
I believe
or?
1080p is the highest it goes.
Okay.
I believe.
And does it go to 120 frames per
Yeah.
second?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then I see that it says it's 94 degrees, 3.5 millimeter,
Yeah.
f2.8 aperture. And then does it? Do you know any of the details around ISO in terms of like being able to shoot in dark situations? And
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can
Okay.
send you that.
Okay,
Absolutely.
cool. And then in terms of safety features,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of safety features are built in? Because of course, we all want to send our $1,000 up in the air.
Yeah,
and, it's
absolutely. Have
unlike
it come
anything.
back.
Yeah, and have
Yeah.
it come back
Yeah.
safely, right?
Right, absolutely.
Drones are just so different than anything else we buy. You buy a $1,000 camera, $1,000 something. Well,
You're
not
holding it the
sending
whole
it
time.
1,000 feet
Right,
away, 400
exactly,
feet up, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
you got the same, the computer vision on the front and underneath is really going
Right.
to help you out with that.
Okay.
You've got the same, fail safes as before with the XR Premium. So you got your return to home function.
Okay.
It's going to warn you when you get to your low battery at critical. It's going to be like, hey, I need to come home now.
Yep.
It's got the intelligent battery. So if you're, you can go range wise, you can go 4.3 miles. So let's say you're out 2 miles or something like that. If it recognizes at 28% battery that that's the amount of power it's going to need to come home, it'll say, hey, I need to come home, and it'll start come back.
Right.
That said, you can just hit the pause button at any point on the controller and it'll pause and it'll stay where it is.
Okay, cool. Now, does it have redundancy built in terms of like dual IMUs and dual compasses and that kind of stuff?
I don't know if there's dual compasses or dual IMUs, but there is dual bandwidth, so that you don't have to worry about connections. So there's 4 different 900 megahertz frequencies, as well as a 2.4 gigahertz.
Okay.
So that way you always have an HD video feed.
Okay. And is that something that it will switch during the flight?
Yes.
So it'll dynamically find the best
Yep.
spectrum and channel
Exactly.
during the flight. It's not
Yep.
one of those where you
You
set
don't
at
have
the
to switch it.
beginning,
Yeah.
and then once you get 1,000 meters out,
Hey, let's switch it.
then
No, it'll do it automatically for you.
does it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. We've got of course folding propellers.
Yep.
We have the nice landing gear that keeps the camera up off the ground
Yes,
a little
absolutely.
bit.
Yeah.
So, and then what can you tell me about speed and battery life?
Battery
and-
life, you got 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yep, you got up to 30 minutes. As far as range, it's 4.3 miles, so you got plenty of range as far as that's concerned.
Yep.
That battery, it charges super fast as well. So you don't have to worry about,
Okay.
if you got a couple batteries and you got your charger with you, you should be able to keep going. I
Okay.
mean, as far as like overheating and things like that goes, we flew literally one Evo all CES for 10 hours a day every day, and it was fantastic. I mean, it flew like a champ. So
Nice.
don't have to worry about that, which is really, really nice. Speed wise, it can go up to 44.5 miles an hour in GPS mode.
Okay. And then and that's not like a special like sport mode or
Nope.
anything. So the gimbal will work perfectly fine and
Yep.
stabilize clear up to that full speed.
Yep.
Because I know some.
The only thing to watch out for is with the obstacle avoidance on. As you get closer to certain objects or as it picks up on some things, it's going to slow down
Right.
a little bit, obviously, so that it can make sure that it's safe.
Yeah.
But yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not necessarily. There is sport mode, but that's not necessarily sport mode in GPS. It can go 44.5.
Okay. Cool. I think
Yeah.
I'd read about with your previous there was something like Surefly or some magnetic interference.
Yeah,
something.
so there was a whole bunch of magnetic interference that was going on with the X-Stars. So we actually did some adjustments to our firmware in our latest release of the firmware with the X-Star, which pretty much got rid of magnetic interference for us.
Okay.
Basically adjusted the way that the compass reads things, where it's being used, so to speak, so that you're not running into magnetic interference, especially while you're up in the air.
Right.
I've personally never run into any issue with magnetic interference on the Evo. I don't know of anyone that has, which is really nice.
Okay.
So that as far as magnetic interference goes, we feel like we've got that problem figured out.
Yeah, cool. And then, does it have a sort of mode? A lot of drones with GPS drones, if it runs into low GPS signal or a compass problem, it'll drop into like an attitude mode type
Exactly.
of thing,
Yep, it
where
does
the
have that.
pilot kind of has to be the one to
Yes.
control it, right?
Yep, it does have ATTI mode. You can choose to switch it into that if you'd like. But yeah, if it were to ever lose GPS at any point, it would just switch to ATTI mode.
Okay. And that's something that you can manually switch
Yes.
into so that
Yes.
you can practice.
Practice,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And then what about geofencing? You know, one of the big things in the industry is about, you know, making sure the consumers are, you know, people are flying in the right place. You know, they're not flying too close to airports or places they aren't. Is Autel implementing any sort of geofencing that limits where you can fly, or are you just leaving it up to the pilot to be informed to fly where they want?
The pilot. Basically, we have decided with the Evo that the no-fly zones are on the pilot to know exactly what area you're in, know the restrictions, and make sure you have proper clearance, things like that. We feel that, for example, like here at FDIC for first responders, in a situation where you're going to have to fly in an emergency situation, or if you're hired to do a job to, you know, inspect a light tower near an airport or something like that, if you go to take off and your drone says, I can't take off, I'm in a restricted flight zone, you're kind of screwed. So we felt that we would put it on the pilot to make sure that you know you're in the proper area. So there are 0 no-flight zones on the Evo. You are totally good to go wherever, except for China, because as a country they they require no-fly zones. Other than that, though, you are good to go absolutely anywhere. So you don't have to worry about no-fly zones or anything like that. We're going to basically just say, as a pilot, you know, we trust you, and we feel that, you know, it's not our place as a manufacturer to limit where you can and can't fly.
I think that's going to be very popular in the marketplace.
Yeah,
and especially, like you said, you guys are targeting not just the consumer market, but construction and emergency personnel and so on. And we're here. You're here in Indianapolis for the FDIC, which is for fire departments, right?
Absolutely.
And so you don't want to hamstring them.
Exactly. Yes. You know, especially in an emergency situation, you want to be able to let them get up in the air as soon as they can.
Yeah.
I know some people are concerned about data security.
Yep.
Our servers are provided to us by Amazon Web Services. They are located in the United States, and your data is only pushed there if you, as the consumer, choose to do so.
Okay, so every time I go fly, it doesn't phone home and say, "Hey, David's flying here at this park."
Right? Yeah. No, we are not the drone police. You know, that's not our job.
Okay.
But yeah, all your flight log and data is saved locally on your device. If you choose to push it to the cloud, then it would be saved on our servers, but that's your choice as the consumer.
Okay. And then in terms of flight logs, a lot of people, including myself, I'm kind of a geeky type of guy.
Yeah.
I like looking at my logs and seeing what happened, and, you know, kind of comparing it to what
Absolutely.
And I like, you know, I'm part of some forums that help other people find their drones when they lose them and stuff like that. So does Autel have any sort of logging that a normal user like myself would be able to get access to be able to see their flight details and their stick inputs and how it was behaving and that kind of stuff?
Those flight logs, absolutely. There's actually a port, I can show you on the back. Currently, that little micro USB right there is going to be a way that you do. So you can either access it through, you know, your flight logs through the SD card, through your device mobily, or you can actually go ahead and plug in directly to the aircraft and look at them that way.
Yeah. Okay. And they're not in like an encrypted format or anything like that?
No, you should be able to open them up and check them out.
Okay, cool. So you guys are also putting out a new app to help control as well,
the Explorer
right?
app. Yep.
Explorer app. So that's different than what was used for your previous generation aircraft, right?
Yep. It's a new app. We feel that the software in the old app was good, but in order to move forward with the capabilities that we wanted for the Evo, as well as moving forward in other developments and other aircraft, we want to make sure that we have an app that's going to be able to evolve with us. Okay. We feel that the Explorer app is that next step in doing so. Okay,
cool. And are there any certain features of that new app that you can mention that are
the dynamic
newer,
track?
Better?
Yeah, the dynamic track is really, really cool. I can actually, I said I would normally show you, but I don't have a device with me, unfortunately. But basically, the easiest way to do it or to show it is you'll literally draw a box or an object. You literally set the controller down, and it literally follows you based solely on the computer vision, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
It's also got it can either follow you. It can also basically be a tripod in the sky.
Okay.
So you can basically say like, hey, stay wherever you are, and then rotate, make sure that I'm in the camera at a certain angle.
Right.
So you know, it can really be your own kind of cameraman, which is pretty nice if you need it.
Yep. And then waypoints?
Waypoints. You got waypoints. You got orbits. You got follow me. You got all the same autonomous modes that you had on the X-Star plus a couple more.
Okay. And so why don't we grab the remote and so it's got an LCD screen, an OLED screen?
OLED screen.
OLED screen.
3.3-inch OLED screen.
So you don't have to have a phone or a tablet to be able to fly with it.
Exactly.
But to use some of the features, you have to have one, right?
The autonomous modes, you have to have one. Yes. Okay. You can actually access all of your settings via the controller itself.
Okay.
But yeah, for autonomous modes, dynamic track, things like that, you're gonna need the app.
Okay. Cool.
Other than that, though, you can access everything from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if your battery's dead on your phone, or
Somebody calls you, you literally hit one button and it switches the camera view, which is really cool.
Okay. Yeah. And then yeah, so these little tiny antenna gets you 4 miles.
4 miles. Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all you need is those two little things right there.
Yeah. So what's the difference? Because I think your older products went to maybe like just a little over a mile.
Mm-hmm.
How are you getting out to 4 miles with this?
Basically
now?
just the technology. The XR when it first came out, was using that technology that was out, but we've leaps and bounds since then, basically in the technology world, and the signal strength is a lot stronger. The antenna, the parts inside the antenna are a lot better.
Okay.
And that technology really has just expanded so
Okay.
rapidly. It makes it, to be honest, we basically just use the upgraded parts of what we had been using,
Okay.
Combined with the software that we develop, and it works like butter.
Okay. And now you said 900 megahertz and 2.4 gigahertz, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then is one of those going to be better for those long distance flights?
Ideally, you'd stay on the 2.4,
Okay.
but again, it's always going to choose whichever one's going to give you the best signal.
Okay. And then is it a 720p signal
Yes.
getting sent back to the device?
Yep.
And that, okay.
That is correct.
I guess, is there anything else? What haven't I asked about?
It's coming soon. I can officially say that it will be in the coming weeks. We are getting really, really close.
Okay, coming weeks.
Yes, it'll be very, very soon. Yeah.
Okay. So I would probe more on that, but I'm not going to.
You're good.
and then in terms of price, is it still the sub 1,000? Is that kind of the
around 1,000 is basically what I've been
Around
told.
1,000?
It should be. I believe our retailers or authorized retailers right now are doing pre-sales around $9.99, which is what I believe it'll probably end up being.
Okay. And then
Or at least below that.
at least below
That would be the highest.
That would be the highest.
Yeah.
And now, when you first come out with it, will it just be basically a single version? I mean, is there any options, or
It'll be just a single version to come out with to start, and then as we get the production rolling on the second versions and things like that, we'll have some other options available.
And then in terms of accessory availability, will there be, when you're able to buy the aircraft, will you be able to buy
Yes.
extra batteries,
props, all that fun stuff? Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll have plenty of it.
Okay. And then can we show the battery?
Yeah,
Show
absolutely.
how it.
It's super easy. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's it. To be honest, that's most of the weight right there. The aircraft
Yep.
itself is pretty light.
Okay. And how big is the battery? What are the specs on the battery?
Battery is going to be, where is it? I believe it's 4,300
Milliamp hours?
Yep.
Okay. 4,300 milliamp hours.
Yep.
Okay. 49.02 watt hours, 11.4 volts.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
So it's technically it's a little smaller battery than was in the XR, but obviously with a smaller aircraft, you're not going to necessarily need as large of a battery.
Right.
It's cool that you can have a smaller battery and still get extended flight time as well.
Right. Yep.
Let's do some flying.
Yeah. Should we fly?
Yeah, let's do some flying.
It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
Oh
We
my
got lucky.
goodness.
All
right, guys. Well, thanks for sticking around for that portion of the interview. Be looking out for another video very, very soon. It's actually going to be a series of videos where we're going to finish talking about the Autel Evo and all the details about it. So look forward to a flight where we're showing a video of the aircraft flying, as well as an additional video that is going to contain footage from the Autel Evo itself. So stick around for those. And if you're watching this after the first day or so, check the description below and up in the corner up here for links to those additional videos. So hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you found this fun and interesting, and hope to see you on another video soon. Take care.